That little voice full on barged in and said, "Girl, you are almost not with us anymore."
One more fat chicken in the water, going over the line.
Hey there, adventurers. This is Alexandra with Ticket Before You Kick It, the podcast where we talk about everything that should be on your adventure bucket list, as well as some travel stories. So in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about a travel story that's not necessarily a good travel story. I mean, it's good as in entertaining. However, it definitely was a close call. And we as adventurers, we always take a little bit of risk when we are adventure traveling, and this is a very good example. So it is definitely a story that we can tell and we can learn from it, and it's, this one is a bit of a doozy, I am not gonna lie. So I am joined here today by my mother, who, as you know, travels with me in an RV, and we decided that we wanted to go rafting. And a bit of a disclaimer before we get started, this might be upsetting to some viewers. What we are going to be talking about is quite serious. There was a happy ending at the end, so keep that in mind as you are listening to this story, but it could be a little bit unsettling for some of you, so just keep that in mind. Anyway, let's get started. So,
Rafting!
I
love rafting.
We're Coloradans. We love to raft. We love to get outdoors. We love to hike. So, and Colorado is known for its rafting.
I would hope so.
Right? Yeah.
Or we could just be biased.
Yeah, maybe we're just biased because we love it so much. But yeah, in Buena Vista, the Royal Gorge is known for its rafting.
Yeah, we've got a lot of really great kayaking, rafting spots. And so we actually planned the spots so that we could go whitewater rafting.
In Buena Vista.
Buena Vista.
This debate again.
Okay.
Buena Vista.
Just
Buena
let us know
Vista.
how.
Please let us know how to say this. As I said, we are Colorado locals and we are confused by this. So we were in whatever puny Buny.
That's what somebody told us.
And we were going to go rafting.
Yes.
The Browns Canyon. Browns Canyon, I think there's the numbers are pretty intense as well. Of course, we want the most intense that we can give.
Of course. So, that's what we do.
You know, it's what we do. But so we were going to go, but then if you've listened to a couple episodes back, we got evacuated by a forest fire. So shout out to Viator, because I called him about 2 hours before we were supposed to get there, and I was like, hey, listen, we are supposed to be rafting and we're evacuating. And he was like, oh, well, I need to check with the company first just to make sure that you're telling the truth. And I said, bro, just Google it. Just Google the forest fire. And 30 seconds later, he comes back, oh yeah, we'll give you a full refund. So we got relocated to Cripple Creek.
Which, Cripple Creek is amazing, by the way.
Yeah.
And
awesome.
We did a podcast on Cripple Creek, so listen to it, because we didn't mean to go there. It was just halfway between one point that we were at and one point we wanted to be. And it was just super fun. But they also have Royal Gorge there, which is, wow!
About an hour away. Yeah, but it's pretty close to the Royal Gorge, but all things considered.
Great place to raft.
Yeah.
You know, you've got these walls that are just
walls of rock and amazing views.
And just there. This little river that just goes down the middle. And it's supposed to be some pretty good Class 3, Class 4 rapids.
And for those of you who don't know, the class system of rapids goes from 1 to 6. And they explained it to us like this. So, number 1 is you're just like sitting in a bathtub, splashing around. You know?
Enjoying the view.
Enjoying the view.
Taking 101-year-old grandma.
Mm-hmm. Yep. It was great. A family float.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Class 6 rapids is you're going off Niagara Falls, except you are fire, the waterfall's on fire, and everything is on fire. It's just pure chaos. So that's how they explained it. Commercial rafting normally stops at 4. A Class 5 is pretty intense for a commercial rafting company. So keep that in mind. Another thing that you should keep in mind as we talk about this is another rafting term for the water level that's going in there is the cubic feet per second. And basically, if you draw a line across the river, if it's 600, that means that 600, about, they said big chickens or basketballs. I like big chickens, so we're going to go with that.
Go with that.
So if it's 600 CFS, that means that 600 big fat chickens are crossing that line at one time. So at 3,200 CFS, that means that they have closed the Royal Gorge because it's just too dangerous. They're
just a commercial raft.
Just a commercial raft.
If you are crazy, and I know some people who've done it, they raft it when it's 4,000, 4,500.
That's insane.
Yeah.
It's...
We're not even that brave.
Yeah. But as I said, before this incident, I would have.
Oh, I know you
I
would've.
would have done it. Yeah. I think I would have. So anyway, we went to go raft the Royal Gorge. We drove all the way down there, and it was cold, rainy. It was like 52 degrees Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
It was really cold. And they told us that the Royal Gorge was closed because it was too dangerous. This was in June, and we had a particularly long, snowy winter, so all of that snow runs down, fills up these rivers, and just makes them too dangerous to raft.
It said it's been the highest water since 2019.
Yeah.
So, of course, all the rafting people are loving that.
Yeah, they're loving that. So it's definitely high water season, and it was just way too dangerous for us to go. So we ended up doing another canyon, the Bighorn, which a little bit down from the more family-friendly one, but they said that just because it's so high, everything is more intermediate at this point. And yeah, what did you think of that one?
I actually liked it. It was 3 and 4s, not a lot of 4s, and there's also more time between the rapids.
Yeah.
And so, you did a really fun rapid, and then you just get to sit and talk and joke, which would have been a lot more fun if it were 80.
Yeah, not 52.
And not raining. But, we're still in the water. We're good. We're optimistic. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, no one fell out. It was a very kind of like uneventful, but it was still fun,
Yeah.
It was still a good time.
But, we went back in and we said, listen, it's really lousy weather. We really wanted to do the Royal Gorge. What can you do for us? And he said, okay, I'll give you a really good discount. Call back in the next couple days and we'll let you know where the water level is and we'll see if we can't get you on the gorge before you guys leave.
Yeah, it was very, very nice of them.
Oh, yeah.
To offer.
Anyway, we called back the next day and it was too high. Called back the next day and it was barely open,
but they weren't happy about it. And then the next day we called back and they said it was. However, and the guy, you gotta love when you go in there and they're like, we're gonna need you to sign extra paperwork. And you guys are very strong swimmers, correct? Like, that, you could just tell the hesitation, and that should have been our first clue, but they basically said that this was the highest that you could go without it shutting down for commercial rafts in the Royal Gorge, and we had to sign all of this paperwork just stating that all of the classes of the rapids were dipping into the lower ends of the next class up. So all the 4s were starting to dip into lower 5s, not total full-blown 5s, but just lower, on the lower end of a 5, and then all the 3s were going to 4s. So there was just so much water.
It was going to be a wild ride.
Again, so we were at about 3,100. So if you're imagining that line, 3,100 fat chickens are crossing that line at one time. That's a lot. And he just said that we're just going to need you to sign your life away, basically saying that this is going to be the scariest rafting trip of your life. And we looked at each other and went, yeah, let's do it! We were like, bring it on. This was exactly what I could have hoped and dreamed for. You can decide if we're mentally stable, okay? Because
or just idiots.
Or just idiots.
Yeah.
Maybe we are just idiots. But we were pumped. I just, that little voice in the back of your mind?
I have no little voice.
That's like, hey, this might be a little dangerous. Maybe you shouldn't do this. We don't have that voice. That voice is not there for us. It has never been there for us.
I think mine has come out a little bit more since that incident.
Since that incident, maybe a little bit. So we go rafting, and we're pros by this point. We're like, we know what gear to get because we've been here 3 days ago. This time it was a little bit hotter, so there were more boats. There was like 5 boats. It was really fun. It was more people, warmer, and we split up into those 5 boats, about 5 to 6 people per boat.
Yeah.
And then we each had a guide, obviously, and we were paired with the main guide. So we were the one who actually went first.
Amazing guide. Like, this whole company is awesome.
Yeah, they do not mess around. Yeah, they do not mess around. So we start going on this trip. We do a couple 4s, and it was amazing. Like, we got to learn a lot of history. We were in the middle of nowhere. We saw, like, the train tracks. We saw some old buildings. It was amazing. And the view was just incredible mountain views here by the Royal Gorge was just amazing. So then we start to get to this one rapid and she goes, okay, guys, I'm not sure what this is going to look like. Oh, and also, there were a couple places where she was like, that's not even a rapid, and we still felt like we went down like a class 2. So the water level is high.
It was angry water.
It's fast. It's angry water. So we start to come up on this one, and she goes, okay, this is Sunshine. I'm not really sure what the conditions are going to be like, but it's possible that we could dip into that lower 5 here, so I need you guys to be on your A game. And she was really pushing us.
Like, you need to paddle, you need to be aware, you need to have your feet tucked, you need to be into this.
And, you know, like, we would go down like a 3, and she'd full on call us out. She'd be like, that's not good enough. Like, if we're gonna make it through these bigger rapids, I need you guys to step it up to your A game. Like, it's not an option. She's
paddle
like,
together, watch the front 2 people.
Yeah, and she was like, I don't want to be mean to you guys. It's just like, this is a safety thing. And, you know, we're like, okay, they're just CYA. Like, you know, we're like, it's gonna be fine. That little voice was not talking. That little voice is tied up in the back room. Like, he is no longer in the building. So we get to this one called Sunshine, and we start to go through it, and about 3/4 of the way into it...
Actually, if you could see in the video, they gave me a jacket and a pantsuit that was so big on me, I looked like Violet from Willy Wonka. So I am as big as an Oompa Loompa.
I don't know.
No, not Oompa Loompa. Violet.
Like
after she had
5XL, and she came out in their bright blue. So we were joking that she looked like Violet Beauregard from Willy Wonka.
Oh, I did. Eating the blueberries. So
blew up by the blueberry.
Regardless, that has nothing to do with the story. It was just funny. And so in the video, I'm smiling. We're paddling. I'm smiling. We're paddling.
We're having a grand old time going down this crazy rapid in the Royal Gorge.
Yeah. And then Alex looks over, and my feet are above my head. I'm out of the boat. The guy in front of me is out of the boat.
We're in the boat all over, just sprawled everywhere.
And I actually went under the boat. And we timed it on the video. I think it's 14 seconds.
It felt like way longer than that, man.
It did feel so much longer.
You're just getting turned underneath of that boat. Like, how terrifying.
But I really wasn't scared. I just couldn't figure out why my life vest was failing me. You know, its sole purpose in life is to make sure that I get air. And I couldn't figure out why I had no air. I didn't realize I was under the boat. It just, why don't I have air? You dumb life vest. So anyway, I popped up. The guide, you know, held out the end of her oar and said, you need to grab this because you do not want to go down the rest of these rapids.
You know how we said in the previous rafting trip that we had, you know how we said that there was a rapid and then we waited 20 minutes? That was not what we were doing. It was like rapid, 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 rapid. And I don't know, it just felt a little different. I rafted Tully, and I fell out in Tully. And I had enough wherewithal to even go down these rapids and have all of us look at the photographer. But you look at these pictures, and we all look terrified. And there's just something different about it. And it was funny, because when we did the Bighorn one, actually 2 of the guides raft, because remember we were alone, but they did have 2 guides where they were training people, and both of them flipped, and I just remember looking at them going, they look terrified, and they're guides.
Yeah,
so
isn't being flipped out of the water kind of fun?
Yeah, and that's what I said, because like when I got flipped out of the water in Tully, like it was scary, but I still had a great time. I was like, wee, you know, point your feet downstream, got pulled back in, it was fun. I think when we went to Buena Vista, because we did Noah's Ark in Buena Vista, I even like fell out a little, and it was like immediate, like it was fine. This was different. This, like, you could see the panic and the fear in everybody's eyes. I wouldn't really categorize it as a fun experience.
No.
The water was angry. It was aggressive. It was, like, violent. The water did not want us there. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, but we're also in a high 4, low 5 out of the boat with more coming. Yeah. And so they got us both back in the boat, and we're all just laying in the middle of the boat.
I've never seen you look like that before. I mean, she was just like puking up water.
I was the picture of serenity and peace.
She got back into the raft and started meditating.
Yes, that's how it was. No, I wasn't puking up river water and my eyes were all crazy.
She didn't have bloodshot eyes, and she literally walked in there kind of like a beached whale and was just like...
This is what the guide said, get in the front of the boat! Like, I don't know where it is!
I don't know where the boat is. I don't know where we are. And all the rest of us are in the boat, too. Like, nobody is in their seat. Everybody got jostled around like crazy. So we start going, we're trying to get our bearings, and then all of a sudden I just hear the guide just start screaming on the top of her lungs. And just whistles, emergency whistles, and we look back, and we were not the only ones. The only way I can explain it is pure chaos. And not in a good way.
Yeah. There were 13 people that had fallen out of the 5 boats.
So 2 boats flipped, everybody, including the guide. And then with us and everybody else who had fallen out, there was 13 people in the water in this really dangerous rapid. So, I mean, there were people screaming. There was the emergency whistles going off. The guides were trying to get people out of the water. And I just look back and there's a flipped over raft with 6 people just clinging to it. And they don't have a guide.
And they can't get back in the boat because you need somebody in the boat to
so they're just
back
screaming,
in the boat.
swim to shore, and
they're throwing those bags to try to get people.
The rescue bags. I mean, people are panicking. And it was at that moment where I was like, this is really dangerous. Oh no. And it's hard because, like, as I said, you see them and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so funny they fell out. And I thought that previous to this.
Yeah.
But this was the moment where I looked out and I just thought,
these people can't go down the rapids.
These people
alone.
are going to die. Like, I just don't even know what to do at this point. So after that, the people started, like, they let go of the boat. There's some people on top of a flipped raft that are trying to get to shore. I mean, it's just absolute chaos here. Just panic, mass panic over here as we're all trying to grab people. And I said, we're in front. And so a lot of these people start to swim to shore.
Or get pulled into different boats. And you can even get pulled into a boat that's not even the company you're with. I mean, they're so great up there.
Yeah, they're like, just get to any boat, just get safe. Because, you know, I think they try to kind of scare you. And I always thought that they tried to scare you just because they were trying to cover their butts.
Yeah.
But this was like, I finally realized, I was like, oh, maybe they weren't over-exaggerating this.
Yeah.
Maybe this is actually super dangerous right now.
I love how it's taken us this long.
It's taken us this long. The guy in the back has freed himself from the ropes and is just cracking the door going, hey guys.
Yes. I'm your little voice, your conscience.
I'm the little voice of reason. You are not in a good situation right now. So we're still trying to get in the boat. Everything's moving so fast. We did learn later that a lot of those people, we had one guy get a concussion. One guy got in that little riptide thing, and he kind of explained it how the water would go over a rock and it just turns in a circle. So if you get caught in that, it's like a riptide in the ocean.
Like a washing machine.
Yeah, so one guy got stuck in that. One guy got a gash on his back. It was really scary. But they did make it to shore. We watched them make it to shore. And then all of a sudden, we see this boat go down with nobody in it except for one kid that was hanging on to the boat. We thought it was chaotic before. It was extra chaotic because our guide just started screaming at us, like absolutely furious, was just like, get out of the boat! We need to get that kid right now! And we're all just so dazed and confused, and we've all hit our heads, and she's just fallen out and gotten back in. Another guy's just fallen out and gotten back in, and she was like, you need to paddle for your lives right now.
And we did.
We all got back in our seats the quickest we ever had, as we're literally chasing what we later found out was a 14-year-old kid. He was actually in the water holding on to the boat. And, like, we have cousins, like, you have a nephew, and I'm just thinking, like, the whole time, I'm like, that's my cousin right there.
Yeah.
He's so young.
And he's probably scared to death. He has no idea what he's doing.
Right.
You know, you could tell him all day long to let go of a boat, but that's got to be a terrifying thing.
Yeah.
And like, he was awesome. I mean,
yeah. And the kid went through about 1.5 miles, 2 miles He did. We timed it with the GoPro footage. We chased him for over 10 minutes, which again doesn't sound like a lot, but this water is angry. This water is not like normal water. And so he is just, we can just see him, and I have never been so scared.
Or paddled so hard.
And it was funny, one of the girls in the back was praying, the other girl in the back was doing like these motivational things. So like every time we go, we'd be like, together, we have to get him right now, right at push, harder. And the guide is just screaming at us. It is so chaotic. And we went through two of the class 4s, lower 5s, and then 2 of the 3/4s.
And he did it on his butt.
And he did it on his butt by himself. And then it was just this moment where he just let go of the raft. Just let go. And of course the other was screaming, he's dead, he's died! And I was like, okay, don't panic. And we are just, he just goes limp in the water. And we are just paddling for our lives, crying, just trying to get to this kid. It was so intense. After you've already been in the water.
Oh, yeah, but that adrenaline mama bear thing kicks in.
Oh, it was mama bear for everybody.
Oh, yeah. And so finally the guide is trying to yell at him to get on the side, like get to shore. But it's not a shore, it's just kind of a rock cliff, so he's kind of stuck on the side.
And he's going fast, so he would have had to hit the shore hard.
Yeah. But he made it to shore.
He did, and he kind of got hit, like he ran into a tree.
Yeah.
And so we got him, and I started screaming. I was like, he's moving, like, because I was just scared to death that we were going to get to him and he wasn't going to be there anymore. So he was on the tree, and then he kind of stood up a little bit on a rock, which she told us not to do, but it's emergency.
We're happy he's not shore.
We're happy he's alive at this point. And then she goes, you need to jump! And we're on a rapid moving towards him, and he's just shaking his head and crying, going, no. And she was like, you jump in this boat right now! And I'm screaming, and I was like, jump on me right now! You jump straight to me right now! And he literally uses the last of his energy to swan dive on to our boat.
A moving boat.
Our boat.
After what he's been through, I can't believe that he had enough to do that.
Oh my gosh, yeah. I mean, and as I said, I'm sure you guys listening to this podcast are like, what's the big deal? He was just going down a giant water slide. He explained it to us later is he would go under and then he would have a tiny bit of breath, just a little bit. And then he'd get churned again. And then he'd go underneath and then he'd get hit by a rock. For him to do this for 10 minutes, the guides call it swimming. And they said it was one of the largest swims they've ever seen. And it takes everything out of you to go through these rapids at high water and not drown.
Yeah, I did 14 seconds.
And
was a wuss.
Yeah, so for this kid to do 10 minutes, and it was funny because he jumped right on top of me, and he went down in the front, curled up into a little ball, and just started screaming. It was like, I'm gonna die. I mean, just having a complete panic attack. I'm drowning, I'm gonna die, blah, 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 blah. And I think it scared the heck out of everybody in the boat, but for me, who was previously an EMT, that was music to my ears to hear him freak out like that, because that means that he's moving air. It's the people who can't talk or can't do anything that you need to worry about. So I heard him panicking and I just went, oh, praise God. Like, thank you. He's alive.
And he's breathing.
I mean, he was not in good shape. We pulled over the boat. His eyes went to the back of the head. He was passing out. He passed out in the boat. We got him to shore. He was freezing. She just was like, she used to be an EMT. And I was like, well, but now I'm a traveling mermaid blogger, so it's been a hot minute. And she was like, we'll take what we can get. Like, we're in the middle of nowhere. And I was like, okay, I'll do what I can, even if it's just giving him a little TLC, because sometimes that's what you need, is tender loving care. So I just went over, I checked his breathing. He threw up for about an hour and a half on that shore, where he was just throwing up. We were trying to get him to throw up.
So much river water.
Just so much water that he swallowed. It was not ideal. And so I was just trying to keep him warm. I was trying to distract him. He, again, was just freaking out, just saying, don't get me back in the boat. I don't want to get back in the boat. No way am I getting back in that boat. And then he told me it was his 14th birthday. And for his birthday, he went rafting the Royal Gorge. And I just put my hand on his shoulder and went, "Oh, buddy.
Happy birthday."
Happy birthday." And he's just puking, and oh my gosh. So then the rest of the people in his boat, because part of his family was in the boat, they come running down the train tracks, and it's probably like a mile. So it took them a while.
And they have no idea if he's alive.
They have no idea. And they just come up, and he's laying on the side, so they just start screaming, and I go over there, I'm like, no, he's fine, he's just resting, he's really shaken up, I'm not gonna lie to you, he's rattled, and yeah, we need to take care of him. But man, they were worse for wear too. I mean, they were bleeding, their eyes were bloodshot, so they all just went through the ringer with this. They were so funny. They said, "Okay, well, you can hike out of here, but it's gonna be a tough hike." I have never seen life come back into a body so quickly than when that kid realized he didn't have to get it. I mean, he was like crawling up the side of the shore. He was like, yes, do
not put me in that boat.
Do not put me in that boat again. So yeah, he was not feeling it, but he was totally fine by the end. He was standing, he was walking. And then we left him. We actually did the rest of it. And it was so funny because the girl in there was like, "I don't think I want to be in this boat either." Like, everybody was so rattled. And, when we were like, "No, you're doing the rest of this raft. We haven't gotten to the gorge yet." So we went back into the gorge. We saw the Royal Gorge, which was one of the most amazing.
Oh, it's phenomenal.
Oh, it was stunning.
Yeah.
I mean, you can see it from up there. And we actually did drive after this to go see the gorge. And it was just kind of, I don't know, we were just like, okay, like, it's fine.
It's much better from a raft.
But it's just much better from a raft. So 10 out of 10 recommend doing this when it's not high water, like during the summer.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal view. So we got out of there, we went in the bus, and then we went back to the main area.
Trevor's family was actually waiting for us, and he's cute with his family. He said, "Thank you guys for saving my life."
Yeah, I mean, he actually personally thanked all of us, and we talked about it for a while, and it was very interesting. And I also did get his permission to share his story on here. So he was like, "Yeah, please tell my story."
He's a trooper.
I mean,
and that kid is a stud.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, for doing a swim like that when you're 14.
Yeah, there's not a lot of adults who would come out.
Oh yeah, no, he was so lucky. And just kind of talked to him about his experience, and he said that it was very interesting for him because he remembers it a little bit, but he described it as if his whole world was turning black and white, and all he could think about was just like his mom, and he was starting to go in and out of consciousness. And I talked to his family, and they were like, I don't know if he could have held on much longer. And,
no.
And he said it was like going down like a washing machine. Like, he was like, I know it looks like I was just going down and having a grand old time, but I couldn't breathe. And the water was so aggressive that every time I would go down, I would just swallow and just get an inhale more. And it was going down my lungs. It was going down my throat. And he just said, he was like, "I think that's the closest to death I've
hopefully will
ever be
till the very end."
Yeah. And one of the girls in the boats like went and shook his hand and just said, "You're extremely lucky, and I just hope you live the best and the most full life you possibly can."
Yeah.
And they were like, I don't want to make you feel weird, but I think you saved my life." It was definitely a good outcome to this story, but wow, that was an intense one. That was an adventure story that had a very good ending, but could have easily not.
Well, it's because we all fell out the exact same place that he did. Mm-hmm. And so it could have been any of us.
Anybody. Yeah.
It could have been me. And I was really okay with it until about 2:00 in the morning, and it just kind of hit me.
That little voice full on barged in and said, "Girl, you are almost not with us anymore."
Like, that could have been you, and I don't know if I could have done it as well as he did.
Yeah, he was a trooper. Luckily he was just such a strong swimmer and made it to shore,
Yeah.
And it was funny because we called some of our friends who are huge kayakers, and they've done this so many times, and they've rafted this so many times, and they said, they were like, there's been times where we've actually gotten out of the water and walked that rapid and then
Sunshine.
gotten that in. And they're like, and I'm going to be honest, we've walked Sunshine when it's less than that. And they just said, they were like, ooh, that water's angry. That is whitewater river rafting right there.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, and our uncle we used to be a guide down in Buena Vista and here. And yeah, even he was like, I don't think you guys realize how lucky all of you were. Not just the kid. It was all of you who were really lucky to get out of there.
And then there was one boat of ours that didn't flip at all.
Yeah. They made it through. They made it well.
Or 2 boats. I don't remember.
Yeah, I think there were 2 boats. I think. So anyway, but I do have to say that I still would 100% recommend rafting the Royal Gorge.
Absolutely.
Gosh, this story is not meant to get you off of rafting. I just think it's meant to give you a healthy respect for the river, because you have to respect it. You have to realize that this is not a controlled water slide. This is nature, and the guides are very, very trained. However, it's a very unpredictable sport. So it's meant to just give you a little bit of a healthy respect for it. And I think it's amazing. Maybe don't go when it's just below the limit of being closed.
Go in July
Maybe
or
go
August.
in like July or August or September. I think they're open until Labor Day. It was absolutely amazing. And I am glad that it happened, because it introduced that voice a little bit in the back of my head again, being like, excuse me, girlfriend, you're not invincible. Sorry.
And shout out to the rafting company and those guys.
Yes, I have to give, because
amazing.
That was a very chaotic and intense situation, and you could tell that they were trained to the max to handle it.
And they were calm, they were motivating.
They yelled at us quite a bit, but it was to save people, and it worked. So definitely recommend that. Yeah, if you are into rafting at all, I definitely think that it should be on the top of your bucket list. Just be safe about it. Don't go in thinking that you're invincible. If we can do it in high water, you can do it in normal water.
Yes.
And I would definitely, because if that right there was just touching the tip of a class 5.
Oh gosh.
I would be very hesitant to go on anything with a class 5.
Yeah. And she also said she'd never go with me or anybody she likes.
Yeah, I think moving forward, because a lot of people have asked me, well, are you going to go rafting again? And I said, absolutely, I'll go rafting again. I don't think I'll go rafting with anybody I care about, but I will go rafting. I would do the same trip all over again, even with the 3100 CFS. Like, I would do the whole thing over again, but I wouldn't do it with you. Sorry.
Yes.
That was a little stressful, watching your feet go over your head and watching you get sucked underneath of the boat.
Yeah.
That was a little much. That was a bit much. Even for my adventurous soul, that was a bit much.
Just like, one more fat chicken in the water, going over the line.
I have 3,101 chickens going across the line in the water. Oh my gosh. That's so funny.
So, huge thumbs up. Just respect it.
Huge thumbs up, yes. So I think it's a good lesson for us all to keep adventuring, keep pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, keep going on these adventure travel. However, just know your limits and stay humble. Yeah. I think it's a very good lesson for all of us, this one. So thank you so much for listening to this story. I know it definitely wasn't the most fun story to listen to, but again, I think we can all learn a lot from it. And I really hope that this doesn't scare you off of rafting. Seriously, rafting is so cool. And if you do come to Colorado, you do need to raft because it's amazing. Just don't do it at high water when there's a bunch of warnings. So what did you think of this story? Would you still go rafting? How would you react in this situation? Would you go rafting the Royal Gorge? Definitely make sure to let me know. And check out my website, thebucketlistmermaid.com, and me on socials at thebucketlistmermaid if you do ever go rafting, because I would love to see how it went. And I would love to see all your photos because it's absolutely stunning. Thank you guys so much for listening, and we will see you next time. Keep adventuring and stay safe in the water.